Hey Dakota, it's Daddy. I miss you so much, baby girl. I love you, and I cannot wait until I can hold you again. Today I'm going to be reading chapter 3 of Charlotte's Web. Um, yep, the chapter is called Escape. Um, and I hope you enjoy it. The barn was very large. It was very old. It smelled of hay and it smelled of manure. It smelled of perspiration and tired horses, and the wonderful sweet breath of patient cows. It often had a sort of peaceful smell, as though nothing bad could happen ever again in the world. It smelled of grain and harness dressing, and of axle grease, and of rubber boots, and of new rope. And whenever the cat was given a fish had to eat, the barn would smell like fish. But mostly, it smelled of hay. Where there was always hay in the great loft up overhead. And there was always hay being pitched down to the cows and the horses and the sheep. The barn was pleasantly warm in the winter when the animals spent most of their time indoors, and it was pleasantly cool in summer when the big doors stood wide open to the breeze. The barn had stalls on the main floor for the workhorses, tie-ups on the main floors for the cows, a sheepfold down below for the sheep, a pig pen down below for Wilbur. And full of all sorts of things that you may find in barns: ladders, grindstones, pitchforks, monkey wrenches, scythes, lawnmowers, snow shovels, axe handles, milk pails, water buckets, empty grain sacks, and rusty rat traps. It was the kind of barn that swallows like to build their nests in. It was the kind of barn that children liked to play in, and the whole thing was owned by Firm's uncle, Mr. Homer L. Zuckerman. There's two pictures. Well, I think it's supposed to be one drawing, but they broke it up in the 2 pages. So, Fern looking over at Wilbur from the sheep's side. Wilbur's new home was in the lower part of the Zuckerman's barn, directly underneath the cows. Mr. Zuckerman knew that a manure pile is a good place to keep a young pig. Pig needs warm, and it was warm and comfortable down there in the barn cellar on the south side. Fern came down almost every day to visit him. She found an old milking stool that had been discarded, and she placed the stool in the sheepfold next to Wilbur's pen. Here she sat quietly during the long afternoons, thinking and listening and watching Wilbur. The sheep soon got to know her and trust her. So did the geese who lived with the sheep. All the animals trusted her. She was so quiet and friendly, Mr. Zuckerman did not allow her to take Wilbur out. And he did not allow her to get into the pig pen. But he told Fern that she could sit on the stool and watch Wilbur as long as she wanted to. It made her happy just to be near the pig, and it made Wilbur happy to know that she was seeing the rest out of his pen. But he never had any fun. No walks, no rides, no swims. One afternoon in June, when Wilbur was almost 2 months old, he wandered out into his small yard outside the barn. Fern had not arrived for her usual visit. Wilbur stood in the sun, feeling lonely and bored. There's never anything to do around here, he thought. He walked slowly to his food trot and sniffed to see if there was anything that had been overlooked at lunch. He found a small strip of potato skin and ate it. His back itched, so he leaned against the fence and rubbed against it. When he tired of this, he walked indoors, climbed to the top of the manure pile, and sat down. He didn't feel like going to sleep. He didn't feel like digging. He was tired of standing still, tired of laying down. I'm less than 2 months old, and I'm tired of living, he said. He walked out of the yard again. When I'm out here, he said, there's no place to go but in. When I'm indoors, there's no place to go but out in the yard. That's where you're wrong, my friend, said a voice. Wilbur looked through the fence and saw the goose standing there. "You don't have to stay in that dirty little yard," said the goose, who talked rather fast. One of the boards is loose. Push on it, push on it, and come on out." "What?" said Wilbur. "Say it slow." At risk of repeating myself," said the goose, "I suggest you come out. It's wonderful out here." "Did you say a board was loose?" That I did, said the goose. Wilbur walked up to the fence and saw that the goose was right. One board was loose. He put his head down, shut his eyes, and pushed. The board gave way. In a minute, he had squeezed through the fence and was standing in the long grass outside the yard. The goose chuckled. "How does it feel to be free?" she asked. "I like it," said Wilbur. "That's it. I guess I like it." Actually, Wilbur felt quite queer to be outside his fence, with nothing between him and the big world. "Where do you think I'd better go?" Anywhere you like," said the goose. "Go down through the orchard, root up the sod. Go down through the garden, dig up the radishes, root up everything, eat grass, look for corn." Pages are stuck, baby girl. Hold on. Look for oats. Run all over. Skip and dance. Jump and prance. Go down through the orchard and stroll in the woods. The world is a wonderful place when you're young." "I can see that," replied Wilbur. He gave a jump in the air, twirled, ran a few steps, stopped, looked all around, sniffed the smells of the afternoon, and then set off walking down through the orchard. Pausing in the shade of an apple tree, he put his strong snout into the ground and began pushing, digging, and rooting. He felt very happy. He had been plowed up quite a piece of ground before anyone noticed him. Miss Zuckerman was the first to see him. She saw him from the kitchen window, and she immediately shouted for the men. "Homer!" she cried. "Pigs out! Lurvy! Pigs out! Homer, Lurvy! Pigs out!" "He's down there under that apple tree." "Now the trouble starts," thought Wilbur. "Now I'll catch her." The goose heard the racket, and she too started hollering. "Run, run, run downhill, make for the woods, the woods!" she shouted to Wilbur. "They'll never catch you in the woods." The Cocker Spaniel heard the communication, and he ran out of the barn to join the chase. Mr. Zuckerman heard, and he came out of the machine shed where he was mending a tool. Lurvy, the hired man, heard the noise and came up from the asparagus patch where he was pulling weeds. Everybody walked towards Wilbur, and Wilbur didn't know what to do. The woods seemed a long way off, and anyway, he had never been down there in the woods and wasn't sure he would like it. "Get around, Lurvy," said Mr. Zuckerman, "and drive him towards the barn. And take it easy. Don't rush it. I'll go for the bucket. Go get a bucket of slops." The news of Wilbur's escape spread rapidly among the animals on the place. Whenever any creature broke loose on Zuckerman's farm, the event was of great interest to the others. The goose shouted to the nearest cow that Wilbur was free, and soon the cows knew. Then one of the cows told one of the sheep, and soon all the sheep knew. The lambs learned about it from their mothers. The horses in their stalls and the barns pricked up their ears when they heard the goose hollering, and soon the horses had caught on to what was happening. "Wilbur's out," they said. Every animal stirred and lifted its head and became excited to know that one of his friends that had got free and was no longer penned up or tied fast. Wilbur didn't know what to do or which way to run. It seemed as though everybody was after him. "If this is what it's like to be free," he thought, "I believe I'd rather be penned up in my own yard." The Cocker's man was sneaking up on him from one side. Lurvy, the hired man, was sneaking up from the other side. Mr. Zuckerman stood ready to head him off if he started for the garden. And now Mr. Zuckerman was coming down towards him carrying a pail. "This is really awful," thought Wilbur. "Why doesn't Fern come?" he began to cry. The goose took command and began to give orders. "Don't just stand there, Wilbur! Dodge about! Dodge about!" cried the goose. "Skip around! Run towards me! Slip in and out! In and out! In and out! Make for the woods! Twist and turn!" The Cocker Spaniel sprang for Wilbur's hind legs. Wilbur jumped and ran. Lurvy reached out and grabbed. Miss Zuckerman screamed at Lurvy. The goose cheered for Wilbur. Wilbur dodged between Lurvy's legs. Lurvy missed. Wilbur